Well, welcome into Kitchen Talk Pickleball Edition. I'm your host, Caitlin Miller, and this week we have Casie Caldwell and Lauren Vosbein. Guys, it's so great to have you on. You guys are doubles partners, co-hosts of your podcast. You have such a fun story, and I'm so glad to see you guys again.
It's great to see you. Thank you so much.
I know. So happy to be here, Caitlin. Thank you for having us.
And for those listening, it was so fun. I was actually on their podcast first, Dinks on Tap, and now they're on mine. And that's what I honestly love so much about the pickleball community. I feel like, everyone wants to get to know one another, network, make new friends, and then also just, highlight each other's stories, which is so great.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's fun. It's the best way to grow the sport too, right? So love that.
Yes. No,
friends,
definitely.
Community, yeah, and just taking time to get to know people, right? It's in this modern day of screens and whatnot. It's nice to be on the court and meeting people in real life.
Yes, exactly. In real life. So hopefully one day we'll get to meet each other in real life. And Casie and Lauren are both based out of Dallas. Now, you both kind of have different stories as to how you found pickleball and then eventually each other. But tell me a little bit about how you guys found this sport.
Take it away, Case.
Well, I think we were kind of reading each other's stories the other day, and I thought it was interesting. We both sort of found pickleball in 2022 in different ways, obviously. But for me, I had really just picked it up for fun, just as a hobby. And I started I started crashing my parents' church games because they were playing at their church in their gymnasium. And I was like, this is so fun. So on my off time, I would go and play with them. And it was, a bunch of seniors. And but I was enjoying it and, realizing that I could, be somewhat decent at this sport. And then I started dragging my friends into it and, hosting birthday parties at Chicken and Pickle and, just dragging anybody I could find to play and, family, friends, strangers, whatever. And so, and so I, again, just sort of fell into it that way. And then I guess fast forward to later that year, I was laid off from my job in hospitality, and it took a toll on me. I'd been in the restaurant world for 20 years, owning a lot of restaurants. And then I was working for a company operating some restaurants and got laid off in November of 22 and just was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And sort of spiraled a little bit because I was just like, wait a second, I got to do something. And it was, after a long career, it was just sort of I don't know, it was a tough time not knowing what I was going to do next. And sort of got a wake up call that, because I started looking back at, jobs in that business and just like, wait a second, you're craving this work-life balance thing. And I was sort of miserable working nights and weekends. And I just got this wake-up call that was not what I needed to do again. And so fast forward to a few months later, had found a company, an educational company that I started working with through restaurants, through they serve autistic kids. And found myself it brought me so much joy working with them. And so I started a consulting company and they became my first client. Oh. And then I was able to play more pickleball because I was like, oh, work-life balance is a thing.
Yeah, what is that?
What is that? Oh, this is really weird. And I love this pickleball thing. And so I was able to incorporate more into, my day-to-day routine. And I guess it was a couple of months later, it was early 23, I met actually one of our future teammates, and she was like, it was actually her sister, and she said, hey, we're recruiting for this pickleball team. It was Tennis Competitors of Dallas at the time. It's now called Pickleball Competitors of Dallas. And come out and play with us. And I didn't really understand what was happening. Little did I know I was being vetted, and I show up the next day at this team practice.
Super serious.
Super serious.
Oh my gosh.
But it was undercover kind of. They were like, just come and play. And I was like, okay. But what was funny is this sister of our mutual friend says, this is a semi-pro pickleball team. So why I even chose to walk in, I don't know why. Because I was like, there's no way. I almost seriously laughed when I heard her say that. I was like, there's no way. And but turns out she wasn't really kidding. But they show up the next day and these girls are just dynamite. But I get paired with Lauren. and total badass. She is just crushing this forehand. That's the first thing I remember. I was like, oh my gosh. And so, and then the second thing I remember is just she's just super positive. And I think, as I was telling you before, like her mentality on the court was so different. I come from a tennis background and saw a lot of people just get mad and spiral when they hit a bad shot. Lauren, no way. She's like, next point, let's go. And so I really resonated with that energy, and we just became fast friends and started playing more and more. And that was kind of how it started. And then the next thing I know, they're like, hey, you want to be on our team? I felt like I was being asked to the prom or something.
That's
I was
so
like,
funny.
I was like, oh my God, really?
A quick break to tell you about something that's honestly helped me stay on the court longer and recover way faster. It's called Kinian. If you're dealing with knee or back pain like myself, tight shoulders, or just general soreness from playing a lot of pickleball, their recovery tools are a total game changer. The Move Plus Pro uses red light therapy to reduce inflammation, relieve pain, and help your body heal faster. And it's small enough to fit in your pickleball bag. Kinian also has a trigger point therapy tool that's designed to release muscle tension, break up tight spots, and improve mobility with targeted pressure. It's quick, effective, and super easy to use. So use code Caitlin for 10% off or scan the QR code right in front of you. From pain to possible, get back to doing what you love both on and off the court. Now back to the show.
Anyway.
Well, you must have proved yourself and done pretty well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I will tell you my version of the story, and then we'll collide where we decide to do this crazy thing called a podcast together. But ultimately, I'll start off, Caitlin, and say that I moved to Dallas in 2022 from Nashville.
Yes.
So I was actually where you are currently, and moved for family, and it was a wonderful decision. But when you first move to a new place, you have to start over in a lot of ways. So the neighbor of I was staying with my brother and sister-in-law for a period of time, just to get my bearings. And their neighbor, they introduced me to, is this gal, Danielle, and she's fantastic.
And she's known as the neighbor.
She's just the neighbor.
The neighbor.
She's like, you played this sport called pickleball. And I was like, I've heard all about this thing. Like, no. And she said, I have got to show you. If you like being athletic, if you like being outside, if you like any kind of racket sport, like, come try this. I belong to this club. I'll set up a game. There's a teaching pro there. Why don't you just go learn the basics and then we'll go. So I did. I learned the basics. I set up my sister-in-law and I did it together. We had a lesson, learned all of the rules and everything. And then Danielle sets up a game with some awesome players, some wonderful ladies that were really kind to beginners, because you can't find that all the time. And Danielle's over here winning tournaments and all this jazz. So I'm super intimidated. I get to the court and I start playing, and I realize very quickly that, hey, this is not that hard. Like, I can do it, and of course, we're rusty in the beginning. We've got our, Amazon paddle, and we're out there.
We've all been there.
We've all done it. So anyway, loved it, didn't look back, took many more lessons, hit up many more open plays from that same club, joined the club. I was all about how often I could get on the court. I work from home as well, so I had that flexibility to kind of plan out my schedule, which was amazing. And ultimately kind of fell in love and joined the intramural team for that club. Ends up being paired with a gal who was also new to the sport, who was coming from a tennis background. We end up taking gold in the intramural.
That's amazing.
Such an ego, but it's like, we got this. Okay. And then ultimately, we get recruited by the Dinking Buddies, the semi-pro team. In the Dallas League, TCD, right? So we go and we play a season with them, and I'm riding the bench most of the time, just watching these other gals crush and learning very fast, which is the best part. You're practicing and you're, going to the matches and you're learning about all that competition and, everything that's kind of in this new world. So I loved it, but the best part I loved was that after the games and after the practice, we would all go get margaritas. And it was such a bonding experience. And I made these friends so fast and kind of built a community. I mean, lightning speed. I've lived in other cities and moved quite a bit throughout my life, but it was the fastest turnover of just community I could have I mean, it was wonderful. So it really helped me assimilate into Dallas and meet a lot of wonderful people very fast. And then, the next season, this one comes sauntering onto the court as a, potential newbie. It was so funny because the captains were like, we're trying out someone new today. So y'all, we're just going to.
Legit. Jeez.
So legit. Okay. Serious here in the Big D. Ultimately, Casie comes in and I was like, I'll play with her. So Casie comes onto the court with a super serve. Like, this girl is crushing the serve. I mean, she aced like 3 of us, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Who is this girl and how quickly can we get her on the team? And also just such a bright light, big smiles, big personality, big fun. And it was just immediate. We were all like, yes. And I was like, we're going to be friends forever.
But
right?
They waited 3 practices to tell me.
Oh, before you actually made the team?
I still was oblivious. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I would go home and I was just be like, oh, I just played with the nicest people. Didn't know it. I had no idea. They were like, do we want her on our team? And
these were the captains. This was not me. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that we all end up, she becomes a dinking buddy. We all go out after our matches. This is a thing that's just been around since the formation of the team. And one time, Casie and I were, at a happy hour pontificating about our game and just how much we needed to get better and all the things we loved about the sport. And I'm a geek because I study human behavior and psychology, and I'm an executive leadership coach. So I love talking about the energy on the court and how to fortify your mental headspace and all of this stuff that I know from my work, bringing it onto the court and helping, folks learn how to kind of be better partners, etc. So, we're just talking about that. And then we decide that after, I think it was Martini 2.
It's like Martini or 5. I don't know.
I was going to say 2, 10.
We should hear what we're talking about.
We're like, this is the show.
We should totally podcast
this.
about this. Like, we've got thoughts.
And it was such a brilliant idea. I mean, it's so funny because you were like, think of it as like a happy hour after, pickleball. And I was like, oh, well, that's, the best part of it, right? And so, you guys had your martinis. I think I had a beer at that time on your podcast. But it was so fun because you guys make it so like lighthearted and just like you genuinely feel like you are at that happy hour right after pickleball, which is so great.
That's what it's meant for. I mean, we call it the Happy Hour Pickleball Podcast, Dinks on Tap, the Happy Hour Pickleball Podcast. And it's true. And that's really what we wanted to. I mean, obviously it started exactly how it sounds, we're Dinks and Drinks, but we literally started thinking about, this is really pickleball is more than a game, right? It's about the stories. It's about the life lessons, on and off the court, right? And just the joy that we were finding and a lot of the things, like the silly things you say on the court, some of the silly things that happen, I think one of our first podcasts, we talked about music on the court. I mean, it was just random stuff. It's not so much about tips and tricks or paddle wars or anything like that. And then the biggest thing that I think we wanted to tap into was the joy of play and how that is something that I think as adults, we miss out on. And I'm talking about like childlike play, from being kids, when you show up and there's no expectations, you're there. I mean, we laugh about whiffing the ball it's a,
It is a wiffle ball.
So those are the things that we like to talk about. And when we interview folks, we really care so much about the stories, about the community, that this sport builds. And sometimes we love talking to pros, obviously too, but really we're more interested in life off the court because again, like something that Lauren says all the time, we have this small square footage, right, that we get to play on. And it would just be weird if you're not having some kind of dialogue with your opponent. And so you learn so much about people and we loved that. And so we wanted to bring that to the podcast more than anything, I think.
No, I love that. That's such an important part. I just think of, the community and what pickleball does, right? It's like I told my mom, like, I'm going to Kansas City this week. Like, I literally just always pack a pickleball paddle because it's like I can show up to, an open play by myself and go play. And like, out of all the sports I played growing up, like, there's just not a sport you can do that. And like, I know, Lauren, too, you said you moved there to Dallas, didn't know anyone. It's like same with me to Nashville. And now these are like 30 of my best friends. So it really is just so special. And also like later on in life, like when you're in school, it's easy to meet people. But then when you're moving around from city to city or whatever it is, this makes it that much easier and special.
It's really, really true. It's a great way to, again, have community very, very fast, but also to feel pretty connected very fast, right? And they're two different things, although they work together and complementary, of course, but it's this rootedness, right, to this common sort of love that you find universally on the court. And then just like Casie said, in between points, in between games and after games, it's, hey, and what do you do for a living? And how did you find pickleball? And I mean, the stories that come flowing out of people are fascinating and interesting and full of, some relatable tidbits and some not so relatable tidbits, which is really cool too. So it's just interesting stuff. And the it's so fast. It's so fast how you can meet people and make friends.
Yes.
But it's also fast how you can grow your own skills into your full potential.
Yes. No.
Like it's realized quickly, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's just like, it kind of gives you that like outlet too, like that healthy, like I want to get that competitiveness, but then like also be a part of a team. And it's just like all that stuff we kind of grew up with. And then, you try to have that in your work life too with, whatever team you're working with and things like that. But I think like when you're able to get outside, be physical, like be in the sun with your friends or wherever it may be, it's so healthy, literally from all ages, for kids, like children all the way up to retired people. It's just, that's what is so like remarkable about it.
Yeah, and in terms of your friends or your at least good acquaintances in the community that you build, I gotta say, Caitlin, like the people that I know in Dallas, the range outside of my age group. I mean, I know tons of people, and we'll say like good friends in their later years, as well as some young people that otherwise, where would we have met? Like, where would I
literally? I know.
And formulated such really good connective tissue, it's just so rare. So
it is. And you're like traveling with them too. Like now it's like these people in, Nashville, Brentwood, Franklin, people that I would have never ever met. And then like now we go to the US Open every year. We travel to Atlanta, like literally wherever it may be. It's like you're almost like, part of a team like you were in college or high school, and you're like we'll do like team dinners. It's hilarious. Like I love it. I'm so grateful I have that again, because if it weren't for this, I guess I would just be doing like an IM sport once a week or something.
Well, I think about some of my like just previous, workouts or how I was staying healthy, and a lot of it's very isolated.
Yes.
Like I before I got into pickleball, I was really into Peloton, and it was just like it's kind of can be lonely, at times. And so it's like, then you get this team environment and there's all this camaraderie that's built, just around this little wiffle ball sport. And so it's really amazing how you can click with people that, again, to your point, Lauren, like people that you might not have otherwise either met or, gone to dinner with or traveled with. I mean, you wouldn't have thought. So
I joke, Caitlin, because the DFW area is quite large, right, in radius, and so it takes a little while to drive to some of these matches occasionally during our, season, and so we will often carpool, and it feels like being in high school again.
It does. No, it totally does.
And we're driving in carpools and in tandem, and we're playing music, and we're getting hyped and telling stories and talking about the drama, and it's just it brings up this joy that is associated with the word play.
It's the childlike play, yeah.
It's as adults, we have an opportunity to really siphon play and, again, connection in a way that we thought was over. Right?
Yes,
especially
100%.
like you hit your 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, and you're never thinking you're going to be on like a school bus headed to some, match that you're all wearing the same thing and you're going to be like, competing in and then licking your wounds afterward over some, adult beverages. But anyway, it's the best to kind of relive that as an adult. Right?
100%. It was like interesting. Like I was home, we were at the beach at Long Beach Island, New Jersey. And so I was, the first part was like vacation, and I was like biking with my mom every morning to go play pickleball with her. And that was cute. But then at the end of it, I did like a more competitive tournament down there at the Pickler. And I knew, I knew both of my partners and like a few other people, but it was amazing. There was this one group, I guess they all play in like South Jersey and the Philly area, and it was like 30 of them. And then, after we all played, they invited me out to like this big dinner with them, like on the beach. And then I went out with them on Saturday. I mean, it's so cool because like I knew 1 to 2 people like, semi well. And then next thing you know, you're at a big dinner and going out, and it's just like it's so easy. And I feel like so many people are just like, yeah, come with us or come play, and then they all got my number, like let us know when you're back in the area. And it's just like, I mean, otherwise I'd just be sitting on the beach, and like not really mingling with other people. But this gave me just like, and it was probably the best part of my trip that weekend, the later half. So it's just like little things like that. Yeah, you would never expect. And next thing you know, you have 30 new friends.
Yeah.
Boom. Love it.
And sometimes the silliness around it is just really so fun. Because
Yes.
you're told like you get to a certain age, well, you're supposed to act like this or, like that. And this sport is silly. And so there's kind of some freedom to be kind of silly on and off the court a little bit when you're with your pickleball peeps. I love that. And everybody gets it because they're all playing this silly sport.
And all like dressing like color coordinate. Yeah, it's just
yes. And I don't even mean to call it silly, but because there is some seriousness to it, and we get a great workout, and we're obviously in this semi-pro league. We joke about that now. It was not true, but
Okay.
But we joke about it all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, because friends started hearing that story and they're like, Casie plays on this semi-pro team, and I'm like, yeah, I do. Yes, I do. It's not, but we
Hey, fake it till you make it,
You know what? That's right.
One of my favorite stories you guys told was about the dinking buddies when you went out to like a happy hour after and you had the shirts on. Tell that story again. I love that.
Those shirts get some quite the attention.
Well, if you play pickleball, then you know that a dink is a type of shot in the game. And dinking buddies is obviously a play on words for drinking buddies. And the fun fact being is that we also, as a group, tend to drink together as well. So we wear these shirts, the team shirt that says dinking buddies on the front, and it's white, and the shirt, the letters stand out. And it's amazing because we go after matches and we all wear the shirt, right? So we're all wearing the same thing. And we show up and post up at some bar, outside patio or up at the bar, and we maybe create a little bit of a presence. And the best part about it is that the majority of the people around us will comment and or want to participate. Most of them initially seeing and reading the shirts as drinking buddies, right? With the R.
Oh my God, drinking buddies.
So they're always like, you guys are my people, man. That's awesome. High fives all around, And we're like, yeah, we kind of are. And then they will recognize, inevitably about a couple beats later that there's no R. And then they're like, what? What are the dinking buddies? And we're like, we're also your drinking buddy. We're both. we're both. And they just, they love it, but it's often where they come up and they just want to hang or want to know how to get into the group, or high five as they're passing by. I mean, it is a spectacle, and it is so funny and so much fun.
Because there's usually about 13 of us or so that are all together wearing these shirts. And so, yes, spectacle for sure.
I know, I'll have to see some like photos of you guys all dressed up. That's so, I mean, and I'm sure, yeah, maybe even you get free drinks, hopefully.
Often,
We do have sponsors.
we do.
Okay, there you go. So you got to use it.
You know what? That's what's up. But I mean, we do help. I think patrons continue to partake, So,
Yes.
it's good
Yeah. No,
People
that's, and it's just like, and in what I know, and just like that culture, right? Because like I've played in, kickball leagues, volleyball leagues, tennis, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes we'll do like a dinner maybe at the end of the season, or I don't know, something like that. But it's not like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, here we are, we have these lives, we work hard, and then we have pickleball, and that gives us such a healthy outlet. But like, what about pickleball would you say has like changed both of your lives that you would have probably never imagined before 2022?
I think you have a better answer.
Well, I think for me, I mean, gosh, so much, but I would say I'm going to use the word integration here, but the work-life integration, that's kind of a new term that we've been using, but like, I just did not see that as possible in my life. I was working all the time. And anybody that's in restaurants, especially when you own them, or frankly, if you're in any kind of operations around them, it just never stops and you can't really turn it off. And so that layoff in November of 22 was the biggest blessing in disguise I could have ever known. And I had no idea that my life was about to change and I was going to, obviously meet this fantastic group of women that just brought back so much life and so much joy that when you're in something sometimes and you can't see it, and it's unhealthy, or it's just maybe you're not living your best life, or and don't get me wrong, my restaurant career was something I'm very, very proud of, and I wouldn't take a day back, but it just ran its course and it was time to turn the page. I just couldn't see it. And so it was pickleball that helped me see it. And I just did not see that coming. And so I'm just very grateful because it flipped the script for me. And now the people that I work with, I remember kind of being recruited into working with this client. They're like, but look, you can do this business and you can still play pickleball. And I was like, yeah. So I think for me, it was just realizing that there was just this other side to life that had not allowed myself to tap into. And certainly, working hard, playing hard was something that's always been a part of my DNA. But I really let the play side kind of tip the scales a little bit in the last couple of years, and I'm never looking back. It's just been amazing. That to me has been life-changing.
I love hearing these stories because it's so inspiring to hear, and it's just refreshing to hear what this sport can do for people.
Honestly, it's really, really true. We hear that a lot through the folks that we have come on the podcast, and the way that they see the other people in their lives reacting to their newfound love and coming in also and just sort of spreading it and broadening it. I mean, there's amazing stories out there. I mean, for me, it's just truly, it was just the warm blanket that is comfort when coming to a new city, right? And sort of starting again. And that was incredible. Not to mention, I have a reputation for being kind of a granny, or
she's an old soul.
So I would like to say that I found kind of my people. So many gals on our team are a bit older than I am, and yet we relate and bond so much and so well. And I love, again, kind of going back to what we said before, I'm not sure that my path would have crossed theirs without this sport as a conduit. I'm just, just kind of thinking to the ways that I typically operate outside of pickleball. It's not clear how we would have known or come together. And
Totally.
to find and bond so deeply with friends that are, that feel aligned and very just kind of like your people. It's amazing. I love it. And just rediscovering this whole notion of play as an adult. I missed that. I was on tons of sport teams, kind of like you, Caitlin, growing up, and was really big into all of those bonding moments. That was a big part of my childhood. So it kind of feels like you're rediscovering childhood in some way.
Totally. Yes.
Right? And I am into it. Like, just absolutely dig that part of it. So I would suggest that for me, it's kind of that trifecta right there.
Amazing. Well, Casie, Lauren, it's so fun having you guys on. It's always such a joy speaking with you guys. Definitely check out their podcast too, Dinks on Tap. Yes, come have a drink with them, tell your story, and thank you guys so much for joining us, and stay tuned to see who will join us in the kitchen next time.